Hello and welcome to Hobby Paranormal. What I have on the workbench today is one of these flash toys that they use for pets like cats to play with. These little balls are basically an LED flash toy, and it's sensitive to vibration. And so if I turn it on, I think it's a momentary switch. You can hear something rattling in there. That's the sensor, and as long as you keep rattling the sensor, it will continue making the light up for about 10 seconds, and then it'll go quiet until it's again bounced on. So if I touch it again, it will light up. Sometimes, you see there, I actually moved it quite a bit and it didn't go off. These cat toys are sometimes repackaged and resold as expensive paranormal detection equipment. They were not designed for paranormal investigations. These are called vibration-activated light spheres. In fact, there's a bit of fraud going on with selling these devices with claims like accelerometers or extended batteries, when in fact it's the same product just being put into a different package. I won't go into the personalities and the people that were behind this. When I search online, I can find these devices being sold at higher prices, but you shouldn't be paying more than a couple of bucks. So it pays to shop around. I don't think there are any differences between the expensive toys and the cheaper cat toys in the store or online. Let's take this one to bits and find out what's inside. So let's see what it takes to get inside of one of these cat balls. These cat balls are constructed by two plastic hemispheres that are glued together along the equator. And I'm holding it in a vise, and I'm going to use one of these hacksaws to then cut. It's not putting up much of a resistance in cutting. I wonder what kind of plastic this is. It's an acrylic, I guess. Still not yielding. Let me see if I can. I don't really care too much about the shell. If you care about reusing the shell, oh, look at that. Oh, okay. So we'll examine the board in a little bit. There's the push button with a spring, and the two shells are identical, except for this one has a hole in it, and this one here feels like it has some kind of, so mating surfaces that they go together. Okay, so we got the shell out of the way, and we got the button out of the way. And let me clean this up, and when we come back, we'll examine the circuit board. This is a very tiny little circuit board, and let's see what's all on this board. Let's look at it underneath the microscope. What I see here is some sort of microcontroller, small 6-pin device. We have an LED here, an LED here, and an LED there. There's the switch. It'll actually light up when I turn it on. So it looks like the LEDs on this are just single color LEDs. They're not multicolor. I guess when the ball is spinning around, it gives you that idea that there's something more magical about the different LEDs, but it looks like we have a blue one there, a red one, and a yellow one. So we have the three colors. Okay, what else do we have? Well, on the back side of it, we have this little battery holder, and we can see that there are 3 coin-sized batteries in there. And we can see the wires that come here are making contacts for the plus and the minus on the batteries. These are This is a stack of 3 batteries. I imagine they're 1.5 volts each, so that's 4.5 volts. The sensor is this little part right here. And this is a mechanical tilt switch. And there's a little ball in there, and it's making contact between the two plates on this vibration sensor. Okay, well, let's take this thing further apart and let's see what's actually inside of this, since this is the component of interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a soldering iron, and I'm going to heat up, and I'm going to remove this tilt switch off of the circuit board. So I lifted one side up, turned it around, and let's lift up the other side. Okay, well, let's take a look at this component. Let's get it in focus. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to open this part up. I think if I do that, I'm not going to, if I take this thing apart, I don't think I'm going to put it back together. It won't come back together easily. But let's try anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in there with an X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to try to slice this down the side there. And careful, it is so slippery. Okay, so what I did was I sliced it with the X-Acto knife, and as you can see here, the slice that I put in it exposes, and it's a little springy there, but exposes what's going on there. But if I lift that up, okay, there are 2 independent balls. This is the top plate, and that's the bottom plate. One of the wires comes in to the top plate, and the other one goes in the bottom plate. And when these are rolling around in there, if they're moved, they're going to come in contact and basically bridge these 2 contact points together, because this is metal and metal conducts electricity. We're going to have an operation like a switch being pushed. So this is the components of the vibration. There's the body, there's the wrapping that goes around the center of the body, there's a plate that fits on top, you can see how it's indented. There are 2 of these round ball things, and then there's a plate that's on the bottom. The reason why there's 2, as I can figure out, is that it needs to be enough that in either position it won't be making contact. The idea is that the cat ball needs these 2 little silver balls to touch this plate and that plate simultaneously, and that bridging is like somebody pushing a switch, and that's basically all that is. It's not very sensitive to very subtle vibrations. One other curiosity I have is, what would it take to replace the batteries in this? What it looks like to me I'd have to do is I'd have to bend these leads up. Well, I'm not going to do that with my bare fingers. I think I'll hurt myself. They're pretty rigid wire here. So straighten these wires out. Now, does this little plastic holder come off of there? Yes, and it all falls apart in a million pieces. Great. So now we have the batteries all apart. So how do we know which side's plus or minus on this? We don't know. Also, what batteries are those? Well, there it is. AG3. Somehow I don't think this is actually going to go back together the way it came apart. So if you do so, just be aware that when you get all the little pieces out there, you didn't have to take to replace the batteries, you don't have to take off that sensor. I just did that out of curiosity. But the batteries are in this little plastic holder thing, and somehow they're all the same direction. So when you put them in, you take them out, you have to put them in. And, well, that's, you know what? I think that if you buy a cat toy and they wear out on you, just go ahead and just replace. It's very frustrating. Well, okay. How do they do it? I don't know. Let's try that again. Ah, okay, like that. Now the question is, which side's plus and which side's minus? I don't know. I guess I could just slide it in there and see if it's gonna work. Looks like that's the right direction. Yeah, wow. It is. I would say that it's more fuss to try to replace the batteries in here than it's worth it to just buy a new one. Which is too bad because, you know, there's actually some good components on here, and it seems like we put a lot of things in the landfill these days. I was kind of hoping that it would be an easier operation just to replace the batteries in this, but it's proving more difficult. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to put this back together. I guess this is going to go into something that I can use later on. If you choose to use these in your investigation, just know that the batteries in these units will eventually drain down, and it's literally almost impossible to take this thing apart and try to replace the batteries. If you do so, you have to have lots of patience. And then what are you going to do? How are you going to glue this back together and everything? Okay, well, that's all I have for you today. If this is an interest of yours, please like and subscribe to the channel. It shows me that you like this content and want to see more of it. Thanks for watching.